Welcome back to another head-to-head between me and that guy over there. He's never won one. The comment section's always yelling, always arguing. Is that a dab?
No, it's not a dab. It's a
You've
flex.
already lost. It's a dab. Anyway, today's is going to be a very interesting topic, one that we got from Instagram, and
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting when it came through. Who won the Decay for OG trade? This trade goes down in the off season. It wasn't really like there was so much happening in the off season that this didn't really spark a ton of discussion. But now that we've seen Dallas win a game for the first time in almost a year, everybody wants to talk about the fuel. So we can
Yeah.
talk about this trade. What is your perspective on it?
Well, I mean, for starters, when this question got brought up, I almost forgot that it was a trade.
Yes, I did as well.
There's so many interactions happening in the offseason that I forgot that this was a direct one-for-one. I mean, there might have been some money exchange and stuff like that. That's always an option in the midst of these trades. But for all outward appearances,
did this trade break news on Plat Chat, or was this one of the ones that broke on Plat Chat?
No, I don't think it did.
Oh, okay.
No, it didn't.
We didn't leak anything here. Nothing
at all. Nothing at all.
We're a good news network.
My opinion on this is perhaps a little bit of a controversial one, is that Dallas kind of handily won this trade. I feel like the Gladiators would be a better team if they had Decay still. And I feel like Dallas is definitely a better team for having Decay. And also is not really missing OG, whereas Gladiators took a big risk on OG. So it was a really risky trade for the Gladiators. And I don't know whether it's going to pay off.
The only reason this trade works for the Dallas Fuel is because they got Gamsu. If they were not able to get Gamsu, they'd be shit out of luck for a main tank right now.
Yeah.
And they'd be in trouble. I think Decay is a sick player. We saw him pop off on Tracer into Torbjorn, which should have never happened. The Valiant just kind of potatoed around.
Yeah.
I still think it's much harder to find a solid main tank who can play multiple main tanks than it is a damage dealing player. I think that OG can play the Winston at a high level. He can play Rhine. He can play the Orisa, the Ball, as Ball and Orisa aren't bad, but really it's the Ryan and the Winston that he's specialist at. And I think when you were the Gladiators and you were building your team, you decided to go for a strong support core with Shaz and Biggers, and then really bolster that tank line with OG in space. Two people who are buddies. Their hero pools don't kind of have anything weird in them, like no like holes in it. And you wanted to build a tank line that you could build into the future. Both of these players are pretty young, pretty committed to Overwatch, where every year we see sick players in the damage dealer role come out of Korean contenders. For you could have found out. You could have got, if you were the Dallas Fuel, you could have kept OG and got Edison.
Yeah, or Glister or any of these people as well. Yeah.
Glister, Sparrow, anyone like.
But I feel like the one aspect of this though as well is that the Gladiators really missed Decay. I feel like the Gladiators also could have picked up any of those players, and instead they picked up Mira, Jaru, and Birdring.
Yes,
can you imagine if Decay was on that team, if they hadn't had to trade him away in order to acquire OG or to be able to acquire some kind of main tank?
But you had to, because the main tank role is the hardest one.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I think they lost overall.
How much of a level up is OG over Roar?
I think it's not really so much an immediate level up, because OG is very inconsistent, but the potential is much higher than Roar.
The potential is much higher. Like, OG has the potential to be one of the best tanks in the league.
Yeah, as soon as I think he's got some mental stuff to sort out, you know, like his confidence issues and this kind of stuff, and just how he approaches every game, trying to iron out the consistency.
OG in space has the potential to be one of the better tank lines as a duo in the league.
Yeah, they do.
The only part you can make the argument for the Gladiators is they may have beefed the damage dealer portion of it, is not signing somebody or not having that. But you'd much rather be in the position of the Gladiators of mid-season trying to sign a damage dealer than mid-season trying to sign a main tank. We have never seen a team like mid-season add some kind of main tank to the roster. And I also think for the first 2 years of Overwatch League, we've never really seen like when teams are bad and when a team has a bad main tank, it is one of the things you can see right away.
Oh yeah.
Like there is no hiding that. That's the guy at the front with the shield. Like when the Shanghai Dragons went 0-40 and you turned on the stream, you didn't have to know a damn thing to know Roshan knew not a clue what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
It just jumping up and down with shield. Like it is a position that makes or breaks a roster. And if you're the Gladiators and you have Roar and you have no other options in terms of signings out there or trades, and this one comes about, you have to do the trade and get OG and then figure out the damage dealer position.
I mean, that's an interesting point of view. And the fact that, I mean, the reason the Gladiators kind of beefed it, then you would say, is just because they didn't pick up DPS afterwards as well. But I think you look at this from the Dallas Fuel's point of view, and it's very possible that both teams won the trade as well, right? Like both teams could be positive. But when I think about this from Dallas's point of view, because they had Gamsu available to them, and because OG clearly needed a shift in place, like they kind of had to get rid of the guy because he just wasn't performing in this environment. They needed a refresher.
Well, he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, sure.
He didn't want to be there.
And getting Decay on your team allows you ridiculous improvements in terms of what this DPS line was capable of on Dallas Fuel.
I'm almost more surprised that they had to give up Decay to get OG, because who else could OG have gone to?
Who else? I mean, a lot of teams in the offseason
would have wanted him.
Yeah.
You imagine the Vancouver Titans would have entertained OG potentially before.
Out
of retirement.
Yeah, something like that. But that's what I'm saying. It was like because main tanks are at such a premium, they managed to get a really elite class DPS out of it. You know, they kind of strung the Gladiators out because the main tank position doesn't have as much talent in it. They got like an enormously good trade the other way.
You can't. Like you can agree with one way or the other and who won the trade. You can't like slander Decay in the trade, because like before this season when he goes from the Gladiators to Dallas, the last offseason, he was like the #1 pickup that everybody wanted. Like
literally #1.
About like, oh my god, we got to get Decay. Every team had like contract offers for this guy. Like he was like everybody knew he was gonna be like a star player.
Yeah.
I just don't think it worked with the Gladiators because there were just a weird rotation of like him, Surefour, and Hydration.
Yeah, I mean, also he played a very serviceable Zarya. He played a really serviceable Zarya, like probably a top 5, certainly top 10 Zarya over the course of the season. And then he's also got like a nasty Widowmaker that he really worked on, a really good Tracer, really good Genji, can play the kind of flick hit scan heroes like the McCree to a super high level. This guy's nutty. Sick. He's really, really powerful. And so for the Gladiators, I am a little surprised that they didn't try and make a play for a different main tank and hold on to Decay. Because if you think about it, do you think the Gladiators would be better if they had Gamsu, for example, but also had Decay? Because I think there's a decent argument to be made there that if they hadn't made the trade but had picked up like a free agent like Gamsu in the first place.
They did pick up a free agent, and they picked up LH Cloudy. Do you think they'd be better with Cloudy and Decay than they are with OG and Birdring and Mirror? You don't even want to make that argument.
I don't think so, but I think there is a difference between a Cloudy pickup and between a Gamsu pickup, and like for example a Tizzy pickup. Like if Tizzy had wanted to play for them, this kind of stuff. It feels like that trade was not the only way of being able to secure a good main tank.
Get my boy Bumper back out there.
Yeah, why not? Get
my boy Bumper out there.
I think the Gladiators will be looking to make a DPS signing in this. In whatever mid-season, halfway through the season at some point. And a lot of that good talent has already been taken up. And they deliberately gave away one of those talents to be able to find a main tank that they were taking a risk on anyway.
I do think it speaks more towards the mental of both of these teams in terms of like GMs and what they think. I think it definitely speaks to the Gladiators viewing that tanks and supports is the way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
And you'll always be able to find new damage-dealing talent. The Dallas Fuel, they went and got damage dealers with Decay and Doha.
Yeah.
And they ain't got nothing else.
Get the fraggers, get the slayers. Get some slayers on the team.
I mean, look, you got Noten Gamsu, which is like a throwback now.
Yeah.
What do you play with double shield? Does Trill have to play in that scenario with Gamsu? It's weird.
Dude, they've been playing Harry Hook and Closer on support.
No, they've been playing Harry Hook and Crimzo.
Oh, sorry, and Crimzo. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's
on support. Like they went all in on Decay and Doha. And mind you, we are doing this and we're arguing this after they win one game in almost 300 days.
Yeah.
If they go on and they keep losing, it doesn't matter. It may not have mattered if they had OG and not Decay, because the rest of the team is just built so poorly. That's why I think the Gladiators have a little bit more leeway, and why I think they'll win the trade eventually, is that main tanks are always a hot commodity amongst the Overwatch League. You'll be able to find damage dealers elsewhere. And look, if it doesn't work out with Birdring and Mirror and Jaru, you can go back into free agency this offseason. There's going to be nutty players out there.
Yeah, there definitely are. There definitely are. I think when you look at Decay's performance in that game that they won, though, and also Doha's as well, because Doha was putting up nasty numbers himself. I think it was like 63 final blows for Decay over the course of this best of 5.
Yeah.
Then 57 for Doha as well. And the highest on the Valiant was 47, 44, this kind of stuff. So, like, properly bonkers numbers. A 3.0 KD coming out from Decay, and like super high from Doha as well. This is a sick DPS line on Dallas, and it's the only thing that's keeping them competitive right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing that keeps them watchable. I mean, I casted them Sunday 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, I was struggling.
Yeah,
but
struggling to get the old eyes open.
I will say, there is one thing that could tip the tides like significantly, which is another move attached to this. If the Gladiators are able to get themselves a standout damage dealer, whether it be one of the guys on Atlanta's bench, one of the guys on the Shock's bench, they become a formidable team. Not in the Dallas Fuel's respect, where Dallas Fuel may win like 4 or 5 games this year, but the Gladiators have a chance with an OG space frontline, a Big Goose and Shaz backline. If they can get 2 solid damage dealers, they're in a prime position to make a run.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I think you also have to consider, though, the opposite side to that. If Gladiators don't pick up a DPS player and OG continues to be inconsistent...
Back, though. That's what the comments said last time.
Yeah, if Birdring isn't back and if OG also isn't at his peak, like, you're relying on both of those players to be at their peaks when they have historically been inconsistent players.
Yes.
So if that doesn't work out for the Gladiators, if OG ends up crumbling a little bit in big playoff games, then you have failed this trade.
But... we don't know what happens at the end of the season. Obviously, stuff's still going on. Playing from home, does that help OG?
I think
he doesn't have the pressure of the crowds. Yeah. He doesn't have the travel.
The crowds seem to really hype him up. He seems to be a very emotional player.
Yes.
But that also means that he just plays hyper aggro no matter what when the crowd's behind him.
But he also seems like he likes to keep to himself a little bit and like not be as...
Yeah. I don't know is the answer to that, I think.
Yes.
There's so many, because of hero pools, because of online play, all of this stuff, it's very hard to be able to like extract OG's mental from all of the other confounding variables that are in these games because they're so crazy. But maybe at the end of the season, we'll be able to have some idea of whether OG has in fact played better because the games have been online.
Or they got Cloudy as the backup.
Yeah.
He used to go to the Korean barbecue place around the block from us.
Yeah. I mean, if you have to run a lineup at some point that is Cloudy, Jaru, Mirror, and then Space and the Finnish backline, that Gladiators roster is looking like the offseason was really poor.
If you had the Gladiators play the Dallas Fuel and OG couldn't play for the Gladiators and Decay couldn't play for the Fuel, who would win?
God damn, Gladiators would pound. I really think so. I really think so. That's kind of where I'm getting to in my head, is like Decay is just, you always know that he's going to perform and sometimes he's going to be a goddamn monster. OG is a bit more of here or there. So I feel like Dallas, if I'm the Dallas GM in that scenario and I know that I still have Gamsu available, fuck yeah, I take that trade every day of the week.
If I'm the Gladiators, I get that main tank that I can build around with Space in the off-tag role. It's kind of, you like this addition for the Gladiators because you like the other additions they made, and you like it for the Dallas Fuel because of some of the other additions they made. But Let us know in the comments. Who do you agree with? Do you agree with Josh's take that Decay is single-handedly going to carry the Dallas Fuel to a championship this year? Or
I never said that.
do you agree with me where OG can solidify that tank line for the Gladiators and make the Gladiators one of the toughest teams in the Pacific Division?